I think, for starters, great to see so many people at the conference. It looks really well attended. There's a super vibe, as there is often at this conference. What's also a positive for me is that there's not just the general talk about investment into Africa as a continent. The conserve element is a focus for everybody, not least Accor and Accor Hotels. And yeah, I think it's nice to see that that's on the table and a real discussion point. And you've seen from some of the panels this morning, some of the discussions this morning, while statistics, macroeconomics, the commercial environment are all a key focus at these type of things. It's nice that the conservation piece is really being put on the table and a heavy discussion out in the show.
And so probably before we get deeper into Accor's business, as far as the big announcements are concerned at this forum, I want to read your thoughts as well on what are your expectations after this forum, because most of the time we've had critics say that we actually make big announcements here, but then a lot goes on the same once everybody leaves these kind of forums. So what is your expectations at the end of this?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily agree with the big announcements. I mean, obviously for such forums, people want to talk about their development pipeline. Accor and all the other brands want to show growth. But, for us, we are interested in the right growth with the right partners. And that you can see with, for instance, the recent partnership made with Mantis, again, coming back to the conservation piece, heavily involved in doing business, but doing the right business. Yes, there's plenty of announcements at the conference, but I would disagree that they are announcements without foundation when you look at the growth in Africa as a whole from the tourism sector. Contributes 10% of GDP on the continent, of which 65% is local tourism, Africa inbound tourism. So I think there's lots of positives to take away from the conference now, and also historical announcements made at previous conferences.
And we understand the significance of hotels in the hospitality industry, and most countries are actually striving to create these luxurious hotels, but along the same lines there is the conservation aspect, which I think I want us to spend a bit of time to talk about. How then can investors and government institutions balance this out? Yes, create this infrastructure, but at the same time do not deplete or disrupt the environment. How do you balance this?
And this is not an easy topic. Of course it's not. No more so than on the African continent, which is such a special place. I think everybody recognizes that, no more so than here in Kenya. And of course you want to grow and you want to develop within the hospitality sector, within all the business sectors. But you need to do that in the right way. And I think, gone are the days of years ago where there was growth at any cost. And now people want to do business, but they want to do the right business, as I said before. And you can see, that conservation is being put at the top of the agenda for an investment forum. I think that says a lot about Africa as a whole. Wanting to grow, but only in the right way.
Right. Let's now go to the issue of scaling up, because we understand that there have been some acquisitions, Movenpick, and the question now here is, how far do you want to go? Probably as you give us more details on this acquisition, how far do you want to go as Accor?
Well, how far do we want to go? Accor as an organization wants to continue to develop. No more so than across the African continent. The acquisition of Movenpick is another key element to that, with a number of wonderful hotels, over 20 operational hotels with Movenpick on the continent. Then look at Accor as a whole. We're 150 hotels, extremely strong footprint in North Africa, looking from a strategic perspective to grow or continue to grow the footprint with all 15 brands that we operate here across sub-Saharan Africa, which we look to do in the coming years more aggressively. But again, where does it go? Where does it stop? I think that's a very open question. You know, Africa as a continent remains an immature market. It's a development market with a lot of opportunities for international investment, and no more so than into the tourism sector, which, as everybody knows, is a wonderfully vibrant entrepreneurial sector to invest in. So, yeah, let's see where it goes. For me, it remains a real opportunity for growth.
Right. Much as it's an opportunity, we know that the continent, and even Kenya specifically, has had its own challenges over the past few months, from the political issues to security. Talk to me a bit about, as a player or as players in this sector, what are the other things that you think needs to be streamlined in order for this continent and this country in particular, or the region, to attract more investment in the hospitality sector?
Just coming to your first point, sometimes I think there's an overplay on political situation and security. There have been political situations and security issues outside Africa, which have been extremely unfortunate to note in recent years, the last 5 to 10 years, as we all know. And that impact on commercial performance in our sector, you know, it's a relevant thing. If you look at performance across North Africa at the moment, from Egypt post the Arab Spring, across Algeria into Morocco, it remains extremely strong performance, and you saw that in the statistics given this morning by STR and JLL. In contrary to Cape Town, which has shown a 12% decline in RevPAR without any political instability and no security issues whatsoever. Yes, they have a terribly unfortunate situation there with regards to water shortage, but again, it's interesting to see North Africa's performance. For me, as a general comment, I would suggest Africa as a whole will continue to grow, continue to develop and move forward positively in the hospitality sector, and the future looks bright.
Right, quite optimistic. And I also understand that you're fairly new in this particular role, and it's important for you to share with us. I mean, those who are looking at you right now, what sort of forward planning or outlook or, you know, ambitious plans you have in store to change the dynamics here?
You know, Accor, as I mentioned before, will continue to look to grow across Africa. I'm privileged to have always, from a very early age, worked in an industry that I love, and now to be part of the Accor journey, working with wonderful team across the continent. You know, we have a major office in Dubai. We've got 4 support offices here. I look forward to working with those guys in Morocco and Cairo, Dakar. We have another support office in Johannesburg. We'll look to grow that infrastructure, increase our support to hotels, look for growth, but look for the right growth in sub-Saharan Africa from a strategic perspective. And yeah, I very much look forward to being part of that journey. As you say, I'm new to Accor, new to the company, but the mindset of Accor is not something I'm new to. They want to do business in the right way. Super ethical organization, fabulous leader under Sebastian Bazan, and yeah, I look forward to being part of that journey.